Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Laura Jaggett, and I want to thank you for tuning in today. This is a momentous event. It marks the 35th episode of the How to Life podcast and the last show of 2020. Let us eulogize 2020 and then put it to rest. At the beginning of this year, I had no idea that my world would be thrown into turmoil. None of us knew that the world as we knew it would be thrown into turmoil. It was definitely a sink or swim year for most people. We could perseverate on all that went wrong, but I don't do that. No matter how bad it seems, I always try to look for the good. The good people, the good encounters, the good fortune, the good lessons, and I make sure to celebrate the triumph. So, here's the good news. We got through the year. We did it. And now, being at the end, we can look back and see the silver lining of what we thought was just the worst year ever. Honestly, it's taken me a little while to build some confidence and knowledge about putting out content for How to Life. Fear slowed me down, as did all the excuses I came up with to not move faster. Job, personal life, kids, more focused on being a pickleball pro, not enough time, not enough knowledge, not enough experience in this area. And then came 2020, and suddenly all of my excuses were not there anymore. Circumstances had changed, job was gone, pickleball tournaments were canceled, everything was shut down, and I found myself with a lot of time on my hands. As many of you are in the same boat, you know that losing everything is super stressful. So to distract from the discomfort, I poured myself into learning as much as I could about how to create, produce, market, and be a positive presence in this online world that really I knew nothing about. Looking back now, I see how 2020 was actually a golden ticket. The timing was perfect. The access to information, people, tools, time that was needed to build my brand is nothing short of miraculous. As for this podcast, not even on the radar at the beginning of this year. But one night I went to dinner at my friend's house and had a conversation with a young woman there who, in the middle of our discussion about a problem she was worried about, suddenly stopped and looked at me and said, "You should start a podcast," which got me to thinking. I looked up how to do that, which led me to finding Pat Flynn from Smart Passive Income, who had a complete tutorial on how to start a podcast. He got me up and running. I built a website. I found help everywhere I needed it. But I felt alone because no one I knew could relate to what I was doing. Then Pat created an entrepreneurial community, and I applied, and I got accepted. Finally, I had a tribe that I could talk to and share with. People who understood and generously offered help, advice, guidance, and so much support and encouragement. And because of all of this, which occurred in 2020, I have become more brave, confident, and more fearless than ever before. I mean, I still have fears, but they're not so paralyzing anymore. I bless 2020 for providing me an opportunity to bloom and grow exponentially. So I would like to dedicate this show to everyone who played a role in getting me to where I am right now. And I want to give a big shout out to Pat Flynn and the SPI Pro team for all they do. And most importantly, I want to personally thank the wonderful people, the coaches, who generously and graciously offered their time and knowledge to help me help you learn how to handle stuff and situations in the adult world more easily than we did. We get it. It's scary being out there with little or no information or experience. So here is my year in review. A 45-second highlight of each episode. There is such good information in each podcast, and this was just the first year. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the coaches of the How to Life podcast, freshman class of 2020. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the How to Life Mom and Our Talks podcast. My name is Dr. Laura Jaggett. I am your host. On this show, we're going to be discussing and learning to approach and overcome things in the quote-unquote adult world that you may have some fear about. Do any of these feelings pop up when you're faced with an unfamiliar situation, like fear of looking dumb in front of others, or feeling dumb because you don't know how to do something. But fear not, you have found the right podcast and you are in the right place. Episode number 2. Today's topic is on the benefits of a gratitude list. And I chose this topic because it is often overlooked as a very practical and valuable tool to happiness. The beauty of a gratitude list is that it helps you to practice choosing to see all the good stuff that happens to you on a daily basis. That's such an important lesson to learn. Give it a try. Maybe you'll find that you'll be a happier person because of it as well. Welcome to episode number 3 of the How to Life podcast. Today I have a great guest talking about an often confusing topic, insurance. Insurance is kind of unavoidable in adulthood, but it's not something that you can ease into. One day someone else is handling all of this for you, and then the next day it's your responsibility. You're expected to know how it works and what the terminology means. So today I'm speaking with Wendy Everson, who's been an insurance agent with AAA for almost 34 years. And lucky for us, she took some time to answer every insurance question I could think of. Well, Wendy, thank you so very much. Oh my gosh, you answered a ton of questions here. Welcome to episode 4. This week's topic, what to do when you can't decide what to do. Indecisiveness is something that touches us all. Why are we so unsure of ourselves? When did we buy into the idea that our opinion about what's best for us is not valid? I've discovered an exercise that really works for me. The next time you want to know what you should do, here's the drum roll. Ask yourself, why yourself? No one knows what's best for you better than you. Thank you for joining me today on episode number 5 of the How to Life podcast. I have a very inspirational interview today with 24-year-old self-made audio engineer, Yoni Malari, who is the founder, engineer, and producer at Green Tea Studios in Los Angeles, California.
You know, it's funny because in the beginning you feel like you're going so slowly, but as you keep pushing and you push through, those breakthroughs become exponential. It's a snowball effect, and before you know it, you're looking back and you're like, "Whoa, I've come a long way."
So you feel pretty good about this decision you've made for yourself or your life so far.
Oh yeah, I don't feel like I work, and there's nothing about it. They say, well, I don't know what the exact quote is, but if you do something you love, then you don't work a day in your life,
That's
and
right.
I definitely feel that way every time that I come in. I get to work with people. I get to make people happy. Just seeing clients' faces when I take something that they created and bring it to life.
This is episode number 6. I'm very happy you're listening right now because today's topic is all about credit. Good credit, bad credit, credit scores, identity theft, and credit repair. Today I'm interviewing Elisa Flowers, who's developed her own system of credit repair.
Credit Medic 911 is the name of my company. And a lot of times it's not until an emergency that we decide to do something with our credit.
When should you repair it? How bad is bad?
If you have less than a 700 credit score, you should be repairing your credit. Because as we discussed earlier, anything less than a 700, you're just paying more money for credit.
This is episode number 7, and I have yet another fascinating and inspiring life story to share with you. You're going to hear an interview with Randy Levenbaum, who tells her story of how she managed to plan a financial future that allowed her to retire from her relatively modest income job at age 43.
When I was 20 years old, I wanted to take a solo backpacking trip through Europe for a couple of months. And the job I had at the time really wasn't in a position to let me have that much time off. Mm-hmm. So I ended up having to quit in order to take the trip. And I had a fabulous time. And after returning from this trip, I knew I wanted to have many more of these types of adventures. So that's when I first made the goal of retiring early.
How long have you been retired now?
I am 58 years old. It's been 15 years. So in a few more years, I will have been retired longer than I worked full time. It's the best thing I've ever done. I mean, retirement for me was highly underrated. It's way better.
Today's topic focuses on emotions, and more specifically, how to soothe yourself when in the midst of negative emotion. I have a great interview today with mental health therapist Taylor Hadley. Let's learn how to honor our emotions, manage them, and take control of our own happiness.
And what you and I are going to focus on is distress tolerance, just like what it sounds like, tolerating distress. And so we're going to focus on a self-soothing technique. And the best thing that I like about this, it's stuff that we already use. It's just being mindful of applying that. So when you think of self-soothing, what I would like you to do is think about comforting yourself, nurturing, and being kind. And so one of the easiest ways to think of that is using each of your 5 senses and soothing those.
Today's topic is procrastination. But what does procrastination mean? Procrastination is often associated with irresponsibility or laziness or worthlessness or even defiance. Why do we do this? Why? What is that? So now that you know procrastination is not a negative reflection of you, you're going to really like this perspective I have about it. Procrastination is the wisdom to not move on something that you're not vibrationally ready for. Now that you know that, use that wisdom to get yourself moving in the right direction. Here are 10 tips you can try to get positive momentum flowing. A few weeks ago, Randy Levenbaum shared her story of how she made a goal at age 20 to retire early and ended up doing just that at age 43. Randy is back again on this episode. Hi, Randy. Welcome back.
Oh, thanks so much for having me back.
We had a great response from your interview. I've also received a lot of questions about some of the terms that you've used. So I would kind of like to do this podcast sort of more of like a Q&A.
I'm up for it. Let's do it.
Today's podcast is about how to buy a home. You are about to hear from not one, but 2 realtors who break down step by step all of the things to do to prepare for this major life event and how to make the process as easy and fun as possible. I'm grateful to have Kathy Castro and Judy Jackson from the Realty One Group joining in today.
They'll be holding their hand the whole way through. The lender and the realtor are your 2 key players in helping you buy a home and get to the finish line. Those 2 people are very, very important.
You are listening to episode number 12. Today I'm speaking with Detective Sean Taylor of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department about internet and social media safety. Where do you begin when addressing this topic?
Just explain what we're up against as far as the internet, how vast the internet is, how more than 90% of it is underground, parts of it that we don't see.
That's why as parents, it's important for us to try to guide our child.
Yes. When they do this, they should make sure that they don't criminalize the internet. It's a tool to make life easier. It shouldn't be your entire social outlet. And that's what we need to make them understand.
This is episode 13 of the How to Life podcast. Joining me in this discussion are Tim and Judy Avalos, who are ISSA certified personal trainers and nutrition specialists.
I mean, there's so many factors of where the fat plays its role that you can't just throw a blanket over everybody and go, hey, okay, this is the way it is. This is how fat works. And that's why we enjoy what we do is every time we meet somebody, it's a blank canvas. There's no one way to diet somebody down or to gain weight or to control their fat or to put on weight. That's what makes it so interesting. It's always different.
Why does the weight come back on?
Great question. Because fat cells do not disappear, they shrink. They stay in reserve in hopes that you put that body fat back on. Why? Because we want to preserve life. And the reason why the fat comes back is the fat cells were already there. And then once you fuel them up and feed them, they grow.
Today is purely an inspirational show. My guest is celebrity artist P. Castro, or as he's known by his moniker, Castro Art.
I've had some experience where, you get that fear of, oh, wait, I've never done this. Should I do it? Can I do it? And once you decide, I'm going to do it either way, I'm going to figure out how to do it, that will change your path tremendously. So yeah, I dived into it 100%, and I made mistakes, I failed, but I fixed it and I figured it out. I wanted to be successful. And I had this vision as I would picture myself somewhere with paparazzi taking pictures, and that vision was part of what kept me thinking that way. Envisioning is the first thing I would say to any person trying to pursue their dreams. Once you have that vision, it's going to launch you.
This is episode number 15. Welcome, Lieutenant Steve Ryback. I would really like you to educate us on how to behave and what to say when encountering the police in different situations.
As police officers, we understand that the general public is nervous when they encounter us, especially in situations where they may be witnesses, they may be victims, and not necessarily a suspect. So we try as best as we can in certain circumstances to understand that. And hopefully today we can discuss some specific instances of what citizens can do to kind of quell their fears. I wouldn't say most contacts with the police are fun circumstances, because if you really think about what police officers do, when we're around, it's not really good things are happening. I don't know anybody that's ever been pulled over and thought right away, like, wow, my day's about to get a whole lot better.
Episode 16. Today's show is an important one, and that is basic car maintenance. How long can your car go before it actually breaks down? I have a couple of friends who graciously accepted my request to talk about this topic. Hey, Karen and Jay, welcome to the How to Life podcast. I think a lot of people ignore these things because they fear the expense at the moment, not realizing that by ignoring it, it's going to be a greater expense, or worse, you'll have to get a new car.
Agreed. It is very important to just once in a while just go around it, have a look.
Just to add as well, the moment you send something that's out of the norm, a light should go on and you should say, let's have my vehicle checked out. Because if you ignore it, it's just going to lead to bigger problems and more expensive problems.
Episode number 17. Today's topic is about fear in general and how to get yourself in the right mindset to step forward and overcome it. I am joined by Sarah Sherman. Her goal is to bring light to others and help organizations as well as individuals find and learn new tools to enhance their successes. And getting past your fear is the first step in that journey.
I think fear is telling ourselves something and then telling it to ourselves enough times that we begin to believe it. And that fear can originate from insecurity to fear of the unknown. And because I'm comfortable where I'm at, the idea of jumping through the next hoop when I don't know what that next hoop is creates a certain feeling, which we would call fear. I'd rather be comfortable, and comfort, as the Greatest Showman points out, is the enemy of progress.
Episode number 18. I'm joined by the very warm and entertaining Jason Hoshauer. He shares his story of how once upon a time he was almost $78,000 in debt, but he got out. And he wants you to know that you absolutely can do it too. Budget often is sort of a negative word. People don't like to think about it because they think they're going to go without.
It is absolutely that. Most people think of it's kind of a straitjacket. It's restrictive, it's bossy, which could not be further from the truth. Budgeting is the most liberating thing I have ever done with my money. Why? Because if you make a budget and you don't like the way it's treating you, change it. It is such a misunderstanding of the concept of what a budget is. All it is, like John Maxwell said, it's simply telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went.
You're listening to episode 19. Today I'm speaking with the founder of Social Media Breakup, Johan Versteeg. You have a 6-step formula that addresses the social media addiction.
Yes, that's at the end of the day, that's why we have these conversations, to make people more mindful about their screen use, and hopefully then they will treat their phones in such a way that it will enhance their lives instead of robbing their time and energy.
You are listening to episode 20. I would like to share my insight on the importance of sleep and rest and taking breaks throughout the day. I have come to this knowing from my own experience in my own life and seeing how it affects me and how it affects others. And a lot of people don't like to take breaks because they think that it's lazy or it's for weak people, or if they stop, they're going to lose their momentum. But I would like to make a case today to tell you how important taking a break is, and really how beneficial it can be to your momentum, to the quality of your work, and to your productivity. You are listening to episode 21. My guest today, Andrew Takata. Andrew is the founder of HTL Movement, which is an online company that focuses on a multidimensional approach to elevating your performance, not only in sports and fitness, but in health and life as well. You know, health is not one thing. It is not linear. It encompasses so many aspects of our life.
And that's one thing that we always need to find that fun or what drives us, that passion. And for fitness, I think a lot of times if it's not formal structured exercise, we don't consider that part of our fitness or our exercise when it actually adds a lot of value to what we're doing. Because if you find it fun, those are things that you'll probably want to look into further or do more on a regular basis, and that promotes physical fitness.
Episode 22. Jake Lang is the creator of the Entrepreneur Ride-Along, a website that shows you step-by-step how to start an online business in any field.
I am teaching people to start online businesses.
So if anybody out there is thinking, well, I can't possibly do this because I'm shy, you can.
You can do it all online. It's an online world now.
Here's another thing people will say, well, I don't have a business degree, or I don't even have a college degree, so no one's going to take me seriously.
Oh, that's a total myth. You don't need a college degree. You don't need a business degree. You don't need any of that, because all that you really need is to have that idea and start talking to people and figure out, what are you struggling with? Okay, I'll go and solve that for you.
This is episode 23. My guest is Mike Lander. This show, it's about how to ignore and tune out the voices that tell you that you're less than, not good enough, not smart enough, not educated enough. You didn't come from the right environment. It's about tuning into the voice inside of you that says, listen to your own voice. Mike, give me a summary of what you would advise if there's the voice of self-doubt. How do you stay focused?
Find a few people around you that have done something that you admire. Number 2, well, make a small step. Lesson number 3 is, so where do I want to be in a couple of years, 2 or 3 years? And then probably the 4th thing is, you've got to take the evidence points that you get and use them to go, oh, I could do that. Well, maybe I could do the next thing. And then the next thing. And the last thing, if you can tap into what your passion is, chances are you'll make a good success of it. It's got to be fun. For goodness sake, don't pick something that you hate, and you probably won't go far wrong.
How many of us procrastinate? And how many, after getting away with it, swear we'll never put ourselves in that position again, but yet we do?
My name is Diane Wingert. My expertise is in adult ADHD. So I like to say that I take people who are driven but distracted and turn them into ones that are focused, fired up, and flame retardant. The reason why I use the alliteration that I help people focus, follow through, and finish is that the adults that I work with are creatives, they're entrepreneurs, but they all have something in common. They have brilliant ideas, but they can't keep moving long enough in the same direction to see it through. So after a few years, their life is like littered with all kinds of projects that were started and abandoned. And after a while, that really does a number on your self-esteem.
You are listening to the 25th episode.
My name is Min Kay Yu, and I'm a career coach. And I specialize in helping people find their inner guidance, their intuition, so that they can use that to find their own career path, their own calling, their purpose. This inner voice is a part of you. It's always there, and it's guiding you. If there's nothing heavy or weighted about it, and it feels open and clear, then that's a path that you should take.
This is episode 26. My guest today is Jay Klaus, the creator of Freelancing School, host of the Creative Elements podcast, and founder of Unreal Collective, a community to support and help creators excel in their niche and make money.
Really, any skill that you have is valuable to somebody, and you can probably freelance doing it. Freelancing really puts you in complete control of your time. It just gives you a whole lot of control over your day-to-day, who you're working with, what type of work you're doing. Freelancing gives you that ability because you don't have to be in some specific office at some specific time. Often you can freelance from anywhere in the world as long as you are communicating with your clients and meeting the expectations that they have for you.
This is episode 27.
Okay, well, my name is Julie DeLuca Collins, and I am a dreamer. I'm the person that helps you come up with ways in which you can achieve your dreams, or maybe even figure out what you're dreaming about. You have to be able to have a clearer picture of your future self and who you want to become and the things that you want to do, to then be able to create the steps that get you there. Be aware of who you want to be and continue to every day work toward that.
You are listening to episode 28. Gratitude is one of the tenets of my life philosophy. So last month I was writing in my gratitude app and a notice appeared inviting me to take a 7-day challenge. At the end of the challenge, I received an email asking if I would get on a Zoom call with the creator of the app, Pritesh Sankhe, to give him my input and feedback about it. Of course I was going to do that. I accepted. And a week later, I was speaking to the man who has literally played a significant role in my personal journey. And then I asked him to be a guest on my show, and thankfully for me, he said yes. So here we are. You're about to hear from a truly humble, kind, and generous man about how he came to create the app called Gratitude and how one spark can ignite and transform millions. Hello, Pritesh, and welcome to the How to Life podcast.
Thank you so much, Laura. It's awesome to be here. So my name is Pritesh Sankhe from India, and I'm the maker of the Gratitude app.
My goal is to help take the fear out of adulting. And one of those big fears is, what am I going to do with my life? I haven't done this on my show yet, but I want to present some options and the many benefits that they could provide you. Today you're going to hear an interview I did with Major Scott McCarthy of the Canadian Armed Forces. There are many benefits of a military career, and one of the most valuable for Scott has been the leadership skills that he has acquired.
By day, I'm a senior Canadian Army officer, and by night, I run a leadership coaching business and podcast called Moving Forward Leadership, where I help inspire and motivate people to be better leaders. Currently going into my 20th year of service now, and at the age of 37, yes, I joined actually when I was 18.
You knew pretty early on what you were going to do. Tell us how you discovered the military and why you thought that would be a good fit for you. You're listening to episode 30. I used to be really afraid of appliances breaking down. I wish I had a handful of information like what you're about to hear from Chad Phillip. Chad has been an appliance technician for many years, as well as an instructor at Fred's Appliance Academy, which is a school that turns out skilled appliance techs for major companies and manufacturers, as well as local companies. Like last episode, if you're at a what am I going to do with my life point, here's another option and some attractive benefits that you might consider. Chad will expound on that more at the end of the show, but first we're going to play a little game that I made up on the spot called Name That Problem. I'm going to give Chad an appliance issue, and he will give us a diagnosis and how to fix it. You're doing a wash, and all of a sudden the thing starts banging like mad and shaking, and you feel like it's going to explode and come out from the wall. What happened?
Unbalanced load. Happens all of the time.
You are listening to episode 31. My guest is David Orozco, and I love this. You call yourself the anti-diet food therapist.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, I don't believe in diets.
I love that. Yay.
Yeah.
Let's talk more about that.
There is not just one simple approach, and that's why diets are not designed to last. Diets don't work because they're not sustainable.
Intuitive eating. What do you mean by that?
What it is essentially building a positive relationship to food and making peace with your body. It's understanding what your body's needs and wants are so that you are eating in line with both your value and what your physiological needs are.
Episode 32. Today we're talking about game-based learning with NYU administrator and professor, Dr. Dave Eng. What's a takeaway that you can give the audience on their life and how they can use games?
I'd say that in a game, you can, like you're usually either the designer or you're the player. But as we live our own lives and just live in this actual world, we are both the designer and the player. We can set ourselves up to make really great decisions down the line. And so it's really up to us as individuals and players in this whole game of life who have the greatest amount of agency. It's not so much about making the best decision, but setting yourself up to make great decisions down the line.
Episode 33. Today I am interviewing Ray Blakeney, who has a language school called Live Lingua and also hosts a podcast of the same name. We're going to be talking about how great travel is. But there are some of you who are a little wary, and Ray is here to talk you down. He's going to dispel fear, offer some great tips to get great fares and rooms, and really inspire you to get the education that only world travel can give you.
The benefit you get from travel so far outweighs that small risk. It will open your mind and kind of show you preconceptions about the world that you're going to find to be absolutely untrue the first trip you take.
You are listening to episode 34. Today I am speaking with Brooke Schoeneman, the founder of herpackinglist.com, which is a packing website, all designed to help you minimize your baggage and maximize your travel experience. If you are a chronic overpacker or you're stressed about packing, getting tired of always lugging around too much stuff and you want to pack lighter but you have no idea how to start, then you're really going to enjoy this show.
Our mission at Her Packing List is to let you have your energy be available for the experience instead of worrying about your luggage or what you're going to wear or how you're going to get it from point A to point B. You don't realize how much extra stress you're adding to your travel experience when you're carrying this heavy bag.
There you have it. I'm very proud of each episode. I'm extremely grateful to these 31 people who lovingly shared what they know to help make life easier and to bring light to where there may be darkness. And to you out there who listen to this podcast, who have subscribed, wrote kind reviews, who've left 5-star ratings, sent me encouraging emails, have shared and spread the word, I am truly humbled for your support. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Let us now say goodbye to 2020 and good riddance. May the new year bring new hope, brighter days, kinder hearts, and an increasing flow of positive energy. 2021, welcome. Be safe, everyone. See you next year. We got this.